Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of our Cybersecurity Executive Brief. I am Corey Wolf, Director of Offensive Security at Risk 360, and today is Wednesday, September 11th, which means that yes, yesterday was the infamous Patch Tuesday. Of course, every second Tuesday of the month, Microsoft releases all their patches for Windows, and one that I wanted to call out is one that Microsoft is saying is being actively exploited. So this is an issue in the Windows update, what is called the servicing stack. So of course, but this is exactly what it sounds like. This is the stack that handles all of the Windows update components. And a vulnerability was discovered in that servicing stack. This is actually the third within the past month. So in August at Black Hat, researchers did release information and have a talk about exploiting a fully patched Windows system with errors and with vulnerabilities in the Windows servicing stack in August, right? So beginning of August, a little bit over a month ago. There were 2 CVEs released related to that disclosure, which Microsoft has updated. This is a third. So in the span of about a month or so, Windows has fixed 3, basically 0 days. I think all 3 of them could be classified as 0 days. Microsoft has fixed 3 of them in the course of about a month. And on Patch Tuesday, they did release an update to that third CVE, which Microsoft in their own release do call out and say that it is being actively exploited. So this is something that Microsoft Research Center, Security Research Center, is being seen actively exploited in the wild. These particular downgrade attacks, what it allows the threat actor to do is to roll back patches on a particular Windows system. So they can roll back those patches and then exploit, the vulnerable software that those patches fixed. So they can perform a downgrade attack and then go ahead and complete whatever exploitation they're looking to accomplish. This is being actively exploited in the wild. Microsoft, by their own volition, is conceding that fact. This does have a 9.8 out of 10. So this does have a CVSS score of 9.8 out of 10. So the mitigation for this is to, and the order is very specific, the mitigation to this is to install the September 2024 servicing stack update. So Windows update your Windows update, but install the September 2024 servicing stack update, and then install the September 2024 security update. So Microsoft has been very specific about the order in which you install these updates to mitigate this issue. But again, a 9.8 out of 10 CVSS score, being actively exploited in the wild today. So please make sure that you do get that one updated. This Patch Tuesday happened to fix 3 or 4 other 0-day vulnerabilities, which Microsoft do call out as being actively exploited. So it looks like it's 1 of 4, so 4 in total. Excuse me. The other 3 are related to Microsoft Office Publisher. I didn't even realize that was still out there in the world. A security issue in Windows Mark of the Web, and then also an elevation privilege vulnerability in Windows Installer. All 4 of these are being flagged by Microsoft Security Response Team as being actively exploited. But I think what you're going to see happen here is there's going to be more and more research going into that servicing stack that Microsoft calls it, that software that runs the Windows Update components. This is what happens. I mean, this is what's happening actually with like SCCM. So there was some research put out probably at this point, maybe 9 months ago, 9 months ago. There was some research put out about how to exploit SCCM. And then all of a sudden you start to see more and more people look at it. Same kind of thing happened with Active Directory certificate services. There was a little bit of research done into how to exploit that particular system in on-prem Windows AD systems. And then you saw a flood of more research and more ADCS vulnerabilities be disclosed. I think this is going to be another one of those areas. I think the Windows Update stack in general probably hasn't been looked at a whole lot by researchers and threat actors. But I think probably within the next 6 to 12 months, we will start to see more issues pop up in this servicing stack as attention is drawn to it. So we'll see what happens. I do think we're going to see more of that. But yeah, speaking of more of that, one particular issue I wanted to call out is that another healthcare provider was breached. I shouldn't say that necessarily. They weren't breached. They weren't breached. We'll say was found to have data publicly facing that they probably shouldn't have. But we don't know if any threat actors actually grabbed this data or not. But a company called, I believe you would say Confident Health, is basically a virtual healthcare company, right? And I think I saw somewhere primarily focused on rehabs and drug. Yes, the database also contained diagnostic drug tests, so related to drug and alcohol abuse treatment and that kind of thing. They had a database that contained about 5 terabytes of patient data, publicly facing. Luckily, a security researcher by the name of Jeremiah Fowler came across this data and did let them essentially know about it. The type of data exposed is serious stuff. So IDs, insurance cards, health-related information, audio recordings of the sessions. So you do a virtual appointment with the doctor. Apparently there were audio recordings. But the reason that this was discovered is that Jeremiah came across this data in a database that was publicly facing. So seems to be a trend with healthcare. If you think about Change Healthcare, just a few months back, the whole ransomware incident with Change Healthcare started because there was a Citrix host publicly facing that they were unaware of. And the threat actors were able to log in with breach credentials into that Citrix portal that Change Healthcare, I guess, wasn't just aware of in some way or another. And this is another issue where this company probably just didn't know that this particular database was facing publicly. Maybe they did know it was facing publicly, but they didn't realize that there was a misconfiguration or that it was just wide open or whatever it might be. And this again leads to a little, we don't know for sure because no threat actors have come out publicly and said, hey, we did grab this data, but this data was available to anyone that came along and found that database. Not great. Not great. The things that could stop this, attack surface management, that's something that we do at Risk 360. We would have, in an attack surface management campaign, whether it's us or anyone else really, it would identify these external assets that are publicly facing along with the misconfigurations in them and tell the organization that, hey, here's this asset that's externally facing and it's wide open, right? And recently with a client, we found that they did have a Google Cloud storage, they don't call them buckets, container. There we go, Google Cloud storage container that was publicly accessible and it wasn't PII, but it was sensitive company information. And, we were able to tell them about that. Hey, this stuff is facing publicly. So I think you're going to see more attack surface management. The NIS2, the European Cybersecurity regulation, I believe calls it out specifically about, they call out talking about the managing the attack surface, right? Along with a form of continuous pen testing. And I'm a big believer in that. I think if more organizations were doing something like attack surface management or even a small version of continuous penetration testing, so many of these things would be caught before threat actors find them. But yeah, 126,000 files totaling 5.3 terabytes belonging to Confident Health. Luckily, the security researcher came across it and let the organization know. So we got to do better when it comes to that external attack surface. There's no question about it. Something that kind of brought me back, which I honestly haven't thought about in quite a while, is malvertising campaigns. So Malwarebytes did discover some malvertising campaigns related to Lowe's employees. So threat actors were being, there you go. Threat actors were being very focused in their efforts against Lowe's employees. So Lowe's has a portal called, I believe it's called My Lowe's Life, which is an employee portal. You know, they can do everything from, schedule, pay, benefits, all that kind of stuff. And so what would happen is if someone Googled for My Lowe's Life, threat actors were actually serving ads to phishing landing pages through Google. In this case, the threat actors were specifically focused on, I guess, not just Lowe's, but some other organizations as well, which goes to show you that threat actors will target organizations. They do it all the time. They will target specific industries too. And in this case, Lowe's was on the receiving end of that. But as you can see, if someone had Googled My Lowe's Life, you'd see a number of malicious ads that were being served up. So mylifelowe's.org with, lookalike domains. My Love's Life, right? My Life Lowe's. So, threat actors registered these domains, and here's a list of them that Malwarebytes has observed, and send the user to these phishing landing pages through the Google ads. What's interesting is that if you were to go to the top level of that domain, you would see some sort of, in this case, retail store, some boilerplate HTML template, so that if crawlers were going to go to that domain, they would see, legitimate website, right? This also calls into what we've really seen threat actors do with AI, which is really just improve on their phishing and on their landing pages. That's literally like the biggest use we've seen of threat actors with AI. So they made this particular template using an AI website builder called B12. So they went into B12, said, I apparently create me a retail store website. They put it on the top level of these domains and served it up so that, of course, if crawlers were to come, they would see a legitimate website. Threat actors also mimicked the URL. So here you can see this is the correct Lowe's Life URL, and they did the same thing. So in their malicious domain, the URL is the same with a login. Of course, I don't know why threat actors love PHP for credential harvesting. I don't know why that's the go. Well, I guess it's probably the easiest, right? But they harvested credentials for Lowe's employees, mimicked the Lowe's login page to My Lowe's Life, and grabbed those credentials. They asked for security questions so they could probably store them later on. But this is probably just a big credential harvesting campaign, which unfortunately through malvertising is a pretty common way to get victims into your threat actor funnel. And Google actually makes a lot of money off this kind of stuff through, not going to go down that rabbit hole, but if you did a little bit of research into it, you'll see that there's quite a bit of malvertising occurring on Google on any given day. It's a big problem for them. I know they've taken some steps to rectify and do a little bit better, but yeah, so that's it for this week. I hope this was helpful. Of course, I'll put the links and a little bit more reading in the description for the post for this video. But at the end of the day, I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you here again next Wednesday. Speak soon.